Manchester City enters another Premier League weekend with more than just 3 points at stake. There's a sense that Pep Guardiola's side could regain control of the league, not only through technical superiority, but also through the growing energy surrounding the squad. The possibility of going to bed as league leaders this Saturday reignites the dominant spirit of a team used to defying odds. For that to happen, a few results need to align, but at the Etihad, everything feels possible. Tottenham must drop points against Aston Villa, and Bournemouth need to stumble against Crystal Palace, who have been playing impressively well. Nothing is guaranteed, but football thrives on such combinations of moments, and City know how to turn expectation into reality. Even so, Guardiola insists that first, his team must do their part. Their opponents this time are Everton, led by a familiar face, David Moyes, a coach who understands the nuances of a club that was once his home. The relationship between Everton and Moyes is almost symbolic, which makes this fixture even more dangerous. The Scottish manager knows the weaknesses of the blue and white side like few others, and his pragmatic approach could cause City problems, particularly in the early stages. However, history favors the champions. 14 matches without defeat to Everton at the Etihad, and the visitors' last win there feels like it belongs to another footballing era. Everton's recent form, on the other hand, raises concern. The team shows flashes of organization but loses consistency against stronger opposition. Their last 6 games reveal a pattern of instability, with unexpected draws against struggling sides and defeats that have shaken confidence. This inconsistency naturally makes City favorites, though Guardiola knows that favorites don't always win in the Premier League. Among all the variables, one certainty remains: Erling Haaland. The Norwegian seems to defy statistical logic. 9 goals in 7 league games and reaching 10 in the first 8 rounds would see him match a record only he has achieved before. His consistency terrifies defenders. Scoring a hat-trick is impressive, but finding the net almost every game is the mark of a player who has turned difficulty into routine. Guardiola knows his entire attacking system revolves around this penalty box predator, and the team works to create the perfect conditions for him to decide matches. While the attack continues to shine, the midfield is a worry. Rodri, City's silent engine, is still not ready to return. The muscle problem that sidelined him is more serious than it first appeared, and his absence is deeply felt. Since 2021, the numbers are clear. With him on the pitch, City lose roughly once every 14 matches. Without him, that rate doubles. That's not coincidence, but structure. Rodri balances defense and attack, dictates tempo, and closes spaces before danger emerges. Finding a suitable replacement has proved challenging. Gundogan tried before leaving. Kovacic has shown flashes, but lacks consistency. Guardiola sees hope in Nico Gonzalez, young, disciplined, and with strong vision. He could become the transitional link City have missed. The manager wants to manage Rodri's workload better and avoid the usual pattern: 3 intense games followed by a lengthy absence. Without him, City must reinvent themselves, and this is the moment to test new combinations. The right-wing question also intrigues. Bernardo Silva lacks impact when played wide, and Foden looks more comfortable with creative freedom. Recently recovered, Ryan Cherki offers a bolder option: quick feet, close control, and anticipation. Oscar Bob is a tactical option, but Cherki brings something Guardiola values: unpredictability. Against an Everton side likely to sit deep, line-breaking ability is pure gold. Absences force improvisation. With Rico Lewis off form and João Cancelo long gone, Matheus Nunes could be shifted to right back. A risky experiment, yet pure Guardiola logic. Positional intelligence and versatility compensating for shortages. Nunes' dribbling and spatial awareness can open routes for Cherki to cut inside. The coach likes such dynamics: a fullback tucking in, a winger becoming a playmaker. The absence of Kassanov makes the choice almost inevitable. The medical room shows progress. Omar Marmoush and Ait Nouri have returned to training, though not at full fitness. Marmoush, who ended last season strongly, offers depth and tactical options. Nico O'Reilly continues to develop and should remain in the starting 11, preserving the youth experience balance Guardiola values. Everton also regain key players. Branthwaite returns from injury and should partner Tarkowski in defense, reinforcing their backline. Michael Keane's rib issue forces adjustments, but Moyes trusts his main duo. Grealish's contractual ineligibility to face City is a relief for Guardiola, as the winger has been one of Everton's brightest threats down the flanks. The visitors' midfield should be strengthened by Idrissa Gueye and James Garner for pressing intensity, with Dewsbury Hall providing link-up play. Everton will likely line up in a compact 4-5-1, relying on counterattacks and high pressing. Tactics City have learned to manage by occasionally adopting a more direct style without losing their trademark positional control. In goal, Donnarumma is the obvious starter. The back four of Ruben Dias and Gvardiol at the core, Ait-Nouri on the left, O'Reilly on the right, looks increasingly solid. In midfield with Rodri out, Nico Gonzalez is expected to anchor. Ahead of him, a creative quartet of Foden, Reinders, Cherki, and Doku, different profiles, complementary traits. Foden thinks, Doku accelerates, Reinders penetrates, Cherki creates. Up front, Haaland, the ultimate finisher. Guardiola relies on synergy, not names. Each player is a cog in a precision-driven system. When it clicks, it feels choreographed. When it fails, it collapses. That's the beauty of controlled risk. The forecast points to a 3-1 City win. It won't be easy, but if they dominate the opening 20 minutes, their technical edge should prevail. More important, however, is the psychological effect. A win on Saturday would place City top of the table and heap pressure on Arsenal, who play later against Fulham. It's the perfect setting to reignite the rivalry between England's two most consistent projects. Guardiola knows that symbolic leadership, even temporary, can shift the mental rhythm of a season. Manchester City want more than points. They crave control, narrative, and authority. The club built its dynasty on consistency and ambition, and every round is a reminder that the hunger remains. With Haaland in form, the midfield under reconstruction, and the defense stabilizing, City once again look like the predator everyone dreads facing. Manchester City enters this stage of the season with the feeling that every match is a chance to reaffirm the dominance built over recent years. Pep Guardiola observes every detail closely, aware that recent success guarantees nothing. English football is dynamic, ruthless, and lives through short cycles. A poor run of form is enough to disrupt balance and weaken confidence. That is why the clash against Everton carries a weight beyond the league table. It is an opportunity to show that the team remains hungry, that the standard of excellence is non-negotiable, and that their style of play is alive and evolving. Pep's plan begins with possession control, but, above all, revolves around a concept he often repeats internally. City must be emotionally intelligent. They must play with patience, but with purpose. Dominate the game without wasting energy. Everton will likely close their lines and congest the middle, and the key to breaking that lies in quick diagonal movements and the occupation of the flanks. It is the kind of challenge that tests collective discipline. Every movement by Doku and Cherki must open space for Haaland, and every advance by Reinders must serve as bait to free Foden. Guardiola knows that against dense defenses, goals rarely come from direct play. They emerge from repeating the pattern until the opponent breaks. The absence of Rodri, however, changes the tempo of ball circulation. Nico Gonzalez has not yet mastered the rhythm like the Spaniard. For this reason, the coach has asked the center-backs to push higher with the ball and for Reinders to assist in the build-up. The aim is to maintain attacking volume without losing defensive structure. Guardiola, obsessed with detail, understands that the Premier League does not forgive moments of distraction. He repeats in training, "Whoever controls the middle controls the destiny of the game." The dressing room atmosphere is one of total focus. The squad understands the magnitude of the opportunity. Players like Phil Foden and Doku are responsible for maintaining intensity without falling into individualism. Haaland, meanwhile, is in a phase where every touch seems loaded with destiny. His presence on the pitch intimidates and forces defenses to retreat, opening space for teammates. Guardiola believes that Haaland's tactical maturity is the true differentiator. He is no longer just the finisher waiting for the cross. Today, he participates in build-up play, presses high, and draws defenders to create lanes. The mental work is constant. Pep insists that the team must rediscover its competitive lightness. After so many seasons under pressure, there is a natural risk of burnout. The way to prevent that is to transform each challenge into motivation. The internal message is clear. We do not play to defend a title. We play to write another chapter. This mindset keeps the squad motivated and turns seemingly routine matches into missions. On the other side, Everton arrive aware they will suffer. Moyes knows the limitations of his squad and relies on a game of resistance. He will likely reinforce the box with two compact lines and exploit City's mistakes on fast breaks. But the problem is that Guardiola's City has learned to deal with this kind of block. The team has become more direct when necessary. If they see space, they accelerate. If there are no gaps, they revert to positional play and wear the opponent down. It is a machine that switches tempo with surgical precision. The fans at the Etihad play a fundamental role. Guardiola often says that City must sound like an orchestra, and the crowd is part of that symphony. When the team presses, the stadium vibrates. When the opponent tries to breathe, the noise rises. This atmosphere creates the sense that the match is inevitable, that the goal will come sooner or later. And that kind of energy matters. Young players such as Cherki and Gonzalez feel the push and gain confidence. There is also an eye on what lies beyond this round. City are not only playing for the top of the table but for consistency. After Everton come crucial matches before the next international break. Guardiola wants to reach that pause with the team stable and physically managed. Recent injuries were a warning. The accumulated fatigue from multiple competitions can become an invisible enemy. That is why rotation will be unavoidable. The manager plans to give more minutes to players like Bob and Nunez, even out of their natural positions, to avoid overloading the starters. The focus on physical management reflects lessons from past seasons. Guardiola learned painfully that City peak in April and May only if they survive mentally through October and November. This match against Everton is part of that strategic balance. Winning is important, but keeping the core healthy is vital. The league is long, and the team knows that leading in October only matters if it lasts until May. Pressure on rivals also factors in. Arsenal and Liverpool are fighting for the top spot point by point, and any slip changes the landscape. If City win, they force Arsenal to respond against Fulham, and the Gunners know what that means. Playing under the pressure of being chased is not the same as playing freely as leaders. Guardiola understands this psychological game better than most. The Premier League is not only a physical or technical competition, it is a 38-round mental test. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere is one of controlled calm. The coaching staff monitors every player's data in real time. Number of sprints, distance covered, recovery patterns, everything is tracked. There is no improvisation, only adaptation. Guardiola wants a City that thinks quickly but acts clearly. He knows the team has dropped crucial points in previous seasons by relaxing at decisive moments. Now every minute counts. When asked about the pressure to be top scorer again, Haaland answered bluntly, "It's not about me. It's about what we build together." That change in tone shows that the squad understands the message. The focus is not on collecting individual records, but on keeping the engine running. Foden, increasingly a silent leader, embodies this maturity. He has become the bridge between young and veteran players, naturally translating Guardiola's demands to the group. Defensively, the partnership between Ruben Dias and Gvardiol forms the backbone of trust. The two have different styles, but complement each other. While Dias leads through voice and presence, Gvardiol brings technique and anticipation. The inclusion of Ait Nouri on the left adds width, and O'Reilly on the right provides balance. When in sync, this backline gives goalkeeper Donnarumma the confidence to build from the back. The Italian, increasingly adapted to the club's style, is starting to show why he was chosen to replace Ederson. With the ball, City expand. Without it, they contract in seconds. This synchronized movement is the secret of the system. Guardiola spends hours fine-tuning the distance between lines, the speed of recovery runs, and the way midfielders occupy transitional spaces. Every positioning error is reviewed on video. Nothing is left to chance. The expectation is that the match against Everton will remain tight until halftime. Moyes' side often compete well in the first half, but tire after the 60-minute mark. Guardiola plans to exploit that moment. The introduction of pacey players like Doku tends to be lethal when the opponent's intensity drops. The strategy is simple. Patience until fatigue sets in, then the decisive blow. City do not rely on luck. They rely on execution. And when execution is precise, few can withstand them. An early Haaland goal could force Everton to open up, completely changing the game. From that point, control becomes total. Guardiola often says that the second goal is always the most important. It turns dominance into calm. In the end, more than the scoreline, what will truly be at stake is the feeling of belonging at the top. Each victory reinforces the idea that City remain the benchmark. The culture of excellence Guardiola has built does not live on trophies, but on conviction. And that conviction renews itself every Saturday, with every accurate pass, every well-timed press. Manchester City now face one of those days that may seem ordinary, but can define entire seasons. The opponent is familiar, the context predictable, but the outcome could echo far and wide. If they win and reclaim the lead, the message will be clear. The champions are once again the team to chase. While the ball is not rolling, Manchester breathes expectation. Supporters sense that something special could happen this Saturday. It is not just an ordinary round of fixtures, but a turning point. Every City season has a moment when the team stops merely competing and begins to dominate. Guardiola believes this could be the game that marks that transition. He notices subtle signs, the way training sessions flow, the confidence of certain players, the harmony of the squad in behind-the-scenes conversations. The atmosphere is light yet intense, and that often precedes great performances. The pre-match talk is direct. Pep looks at the group and says leadership is not a reward, it is a consequence. He wants to see personality. He wants City to play with courage, even if the score is tight. He knows Everton will try to stop the game, break the rhythm, and make it physical. That is why he demands emotional control. Do not enter their war, make them enter ours, he repeats. The philosophy is simple. Dominate with the mind before dominating on the scoreboard. The first half unfolds as predicted. Everton sit deep, close spaces, and City circulate the ball patiently. The tempo is measured. The pitch tilts towards the light blue side. Foden orchestrates play with precision, moving between lines and drawing markers. Doku tries to break through the flanks while Cherki drifts between defenders, confusing the back line. Haaland waits, patient, ready for the decisive pass. It is the kind of match where a single detail can open the floodgates. At the half-hour mark, City accelerate. A vertical pass from Reinders finds Cherki, who turns quickly and releases Foden on the diagonal. The Englishman crosses first time, and Haaland, with his now trademark movement, attacks the space between defenders. The ball explodes into the net. A typical City goal, meticulous build-up, lethal finish. The stadium erupts as if the title had just been secured. Guardiola remains calm on the touchline. He knows precision is still required. Everton, though technically inferior, are stubborn. Moyes reorganizes his side, pushes the line higher, and looks for an unlikely equalizer. City drops slightly to control transitions. It is at that moment Rodri's absence is felt. Without the Spaniard, there are wider gaps between defense and midfield, and an error in build-up nearly proves costly. Donnarumma must intervene with a reflex save to prevent the leveler. The scare serves as a warning. The Spanish manager gestures for greater focus. At half-time, he reshapes the team. Foden is asked to drop deeper and Reinders to cover centrally. The order is clear: close the inside channel and kill the game efficiently. Guardiola does not seek spectacle, only total control. He knows titles are won in pragmatic moments, not in occasional thrashings. The second half begins with the same dominance but more purpose. Doku and Cherki swap flanks, confusing the defense. The tactical switch is classic Guardiola, always seeking a new angle of attack. At 58 minutes, the plan works. Doku draws two defenders and lays it off to Cherki, who cuts inside and shoots from distance. The ball takes a slight deflection and deceives the keeper. 2-0. The Etihad roars and the match seems settled. Even with the advantage, City do not ease off. Pep knows goal difference can be decisive later. He makes small changes to test variations. Oscar Bob replaces Doku, the young Norwegian, adding fresh energy up front. Nico Gonzalez keeps the tempo in midfield and shows maturity despite his youth. This blend of youth and control defines the new-look City. Everton still try to react but are suffocated by possession. City move the ball with speed and almost irritating precision. Every attempt at progression is intercepted coolly by Gvardiol and Dias. Donnarumma has little to do. The match turns into an exercise in authority. Guardiola does not just want victory. He wants to impose the rhythm of the club that dictates the pace of English football. At 75 minutes, another flash of quality. Foden receives between lines, dribbles past a marker, and releases Haaland again. The Norwegian controls and shoots with his left, but the keeper saves. The rebound falls to Reijnders, who slots into the empty net. 3-0. The score reflects the gulf between the two projects, one structured, the other surviving on effort. Everton's consolation comes in stoppage time from a single lapse. A long ball catches the defense high and Tarkowski pounces on a rebound to reduce the deficit. The final 3-1 scoreline is fair. It changes nothing. City leave the pitch with authority and, more importantly, momentum. When the final whistle blows, Guardiola allows himself a rare, restrained smile. He knows what it means. The team are back on top, even if only briefly, and send a silent message to their rivals. The champions are awake. In the dressing room, the mood is one of controlled satisfaction. Foden celebrates but reminds his teammates that the season is only beginning. Haaland, with 2 goals and an assist, speaks little. His focus has already shifted to the next opponent. Guardiola addresses the squad briefly and ends with a simple line: "Stay hungry." The message matters more than any celebration. At the press conference, the manager keeps his pragmatic tone. He praises the team's patience, highlights the collective performance, and avoids superlatives. When asked about leadership, he answers without hesitation, "We do not look at the table, we look at the next pass." That almost robotic mentality keeps City above the rest. Each win is treated as part of an ongoing process. Meanwhile, the English press start projecting the new scenario. If Arsenal slip against Fulham, City will sleep top. Even if the rivals win, the message has been sent. Guardiola's side are ready to regain control of the league. Liverpool, Tottenham, and even Newcastle watch from afar. City's hegemony again seems inevitable. The numbers reinforce the feeling. With this victory, the club reach 6 wins in their last 7 matches and maintain the best attack in the competition. Haaland leads the scoring charts, Foden assumes the role of playmaker, and Doku consolidates himself as one of the system's most dangerous weapons. The balance between youth and experience once again fuels success. Guardiola, for his part, already thinks ahead. He knows dominating the Premier League is part of the plan, but the greater goal is Europe. Every domestic game is a rehearsal for continental challenges. Rodri's return, expected next week, will restore the tactical heart of the side. With him fit, City can recover the absolute standard that made them feared across the continent. The next day, the British papers highlight the victory as a show of strength. "City reignite the flame," reads one headline. Another is more direct. "Guardiola never left." The verdict is unanimous. Manchester City are back in dominant mode. And when that happens, the rest of the league usually watch from a distance. As Sunday arrives and Arsenal prepare to face Fulham, the psychological weight of City's win already hangs heavy. The champions have done their job and now force their rivals to respond. Guardiola watches from home, calm, knowing the mission is complete. He cannot control other results, but controls what truly matters: his team's performance. Football, to him, is a game of control, and City, once again, seem to have regained control of themselves. The victory over Everton is more than 3 points. It is a silent declaration that the Sky Blue Empire still stands. And so, with another convincing display, Manchester City once again show why they set the pace of modern football. Every pass, every movement, every goal tells a story of dominance, discipline, and hunger for victory. Guardiola knows the road is long, but this match marks the moment when City stop chasing and start being chased. The leadership may change hands during the season, but the message is clear. The champions are alive, stronger and more focused than ever. Now it is your turn, supporter, to be part of this journey. If you believe City have what it takes to lift another Premier League trophy, show that you are with the team. Leave a like on this video to support the work, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss any updates, because here you will follow every behind-the-scenes story, every rumor, and every twist of this unforgettable season. Your engagement helps the community grow and keeps alive this coverage that takes supporters inside the dressing room, straight to the heart of England's title race. So click subscribe, leave a like, and comment below your prediction. Will Manchester City finish this round at the top of the Premier League? See you in the next video with more news, analysis, and exclusive behind-the-scenes coverage of European football. Until then, remember, the game may change, but the passion never does.